I venture to guess that there is some calm optimism surrounding the Phoenix Suns this year. It's not full-blown optimism the way it might be in other NBA cities across the country. I don't know if there's the optimism that is had in Boston, if there is the type of enthusiasm and optimism and excitement that there is in New York for the Knicks. I think there is some hesitancy from those in this basketball community here in Phoenix that aren't necessarily sold on this team turning things around. It's very difficult in sports to give your all to a team and to really truly believe that a year is going to be the year. Like, you go all in, like you are convinced this team is the best roster I've seen in a long time. The coaching staff, the schedule lines up well. The other teams that they are playing maybe are in for down years. Like, everything just lines up and you look at it and you go, yes, this is the year this team's going to break through. It's hard when you think that and then everything goes against you or it doesn't work out the way that you want it to. And I kind of feel like that's how a lot of us feel about the Suns last year. Durant, Booker, Beal, a championship caliber coach in Frank Vogel, although maybe not the best choice, clearly with hindsight, but I don't know if it required hindsight. This team had the talent. You had a coach with a championship pedigree. Like, this is supposed to be the year. You're supposed to get into the playoffs and then have three of the best players in the NBA on the floor at all times. And yet, as the season wore on, we didn't even need to wait till the All-Star break. We didn't even need to wait until the last couple of weeks of the season. We saw the writing on the wall throughout the year. This team had a problem scoring in the fourth quarter. This team had a problem turning the ball over. They didn't have a point guard to steady things as the season went along. Like, how many times did this team have a close, tight fourth quarter contest and you were screaming at the television that they needed a veteran point guard that could slow the game down a little bit? To have the veteran presence of, okay, this is kind of going against us now. We need to turn this boat around. And time and time and time again, they didn't have that. And so this offseason comes around and there are debates all over sports talk radio here. There are debates on podcasts, media, you name it. The debates were had. What does this team need to look like in 2024? Can they run it back? Should they run it back? What would running it back even look like? If they don't run it back, what moves to be made? And I kind of hinted at this earlier in the week throughout our Suns conversations, but I was not necessarily on board with the idea of running it back from a personnel perspective. Now, I will say this. I think it is unfair to look at the current state of the roster for the Suns in 2024, 2025, and say they've completely run it back. Now, if by run it back you were saying that they needed to trade one of the three stars, then yes, they absolutely ran it back. But this team addressed their major need at point guard. They addressed their major need in the draft with a wing player that can play some suffocating defense. So they are not running back the same crew, the same philosophy, the same methodology with the same coaching staff. It is not it's not a complete overhaul. It's not a tear it down. It's more of a adjustment, a tweak. But I think the tweaks and the adjustments that they made are going to allow us to see this team reach the thoughts we had of them last year. Now, I'm not going to convince you or tell you to buy all in again, because I'm not. I'm taking a wait and see approach with the Suns in 2024. You got to show me something. You had your chance last year, had all the talent. We're supposed to just take the Western Conference by storm, and then you did what you did in the postseason. You did what you did in the second half of last year. So you got to show me. You got to show me that it's different. You got to show me that the additions of Tyus Jones and Monte Morris give them the veteran point guard role that is going to help clean up those issues. You got to show me that the addition of Mike Budenholzer as the coach and his philosophical changes to this offense in terms of shooting more threes and not taking so many mid-range jumpers is going to lead to a better fourth quarter result for this team. I was doing some digging today into some numbers for this segment, and the Suns top 5 team in first quarter, second quarter, third quarter scoring all of last year, right? Like they were elite. Fourth quarter, not very good. And I didn't need a stat to show me that. I could see it with my own eyeballs. They were not a good fourth quarter team. And so when I see stories like the one from CBS Sports that I saw yesterday from Sam Quinn that is projecting where all 30 teams are going to finish offensively in 2024 and 2025, to see the Suns inside the top 10, to see them as a team that was 10th in offense last year, 116.8 points per 100 possessions, and to see them projected to be number 8 this year, I had two different reactions to that ranking. One was, well, they better be. They better be a top 10 offense because they have the same players who are going to lead the team in scoring. The three guys that are going to be behind the engine, the straw that stirs the drink, they're still here. Devin Booker's still here. Kevin Durant's still here. Bradley Beal's still here. And so you add on top of that they've fixed their point guard problem by adding Tyus Jones. Grayson Allen's still here. So they have a group that should be able to score just as much, if not more, than last year. And I'm extremely fascinated to see what the starting lineup looks like and what the rotation looks like. And preseason doesn't really give us a good gauge of that. But I'm extremely fascinated to see what the rotation and what the rotational minutes look like for this team. But you bring in a coach who's going to say, hey, guys, instead of shooting all those mid-range jumpers, can we just maybe take a couple of steps back and we're going to play with a quicker pace, and we're not going to be a defensive-oriented team like they were under Frank Vogel, despite being one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. So we're going to switch gears. We're going to take an offensive approach, and our offensive approach is going to be we are going to shoot threes all night long, just all the time. So that's going to lead to more scoring because instead of taking those mid-range twos, there's going to be more threes. And when they make those, that's just instantly more points. And they fixed their point guard issue. So there aren't going to be as many turnovers, which means they should get more possessions throughout the course of the game. So they're going to clean up some of the mistakes that held them back offensively when they were a top 10 team. So yeah, of course they should. Why shouldn't they? Everything is telling us that they're going to be a better offensive team. But then there's the second thought, and it's the thought that this story points out from Sam Quinn, that putting them at number 8 is kind of splitting the difference, because if they get hurt, which these three guys are known to do, then they don't have the depth to be able to keep up offensively. If everybody's healthy for the entirety of the season, then I think 8 is too low. They're going to be one of the more fun watches when we get. Now, I don't know where we're going to see them this year, because I don't. Zach Lowe is no longer with ESPN, right? I believe that change happened a couple of weeks ago, where Zach Lowe was let go of ESPN. So we're not going to get the NBA League Pass rankings of which teams do you need to go out and see. And I think the Suns very easily are going to be one of those top teams when everybody's healthy. They're going to be a must-watch on League Pass to a general audience. We're going to watch them every night here, but they're going to be a must-watch when those three players are on the floor with this offensive scheme, because I just think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But there it is again, that cloud that hangs over this core, this group, this era of Suns basketball. Can they stay healthy? Because if they stay healthy, you can all of a sudden talk yourself into what we were talking about at the beginning of this segment, which is, I'm buying in. I'm going to a bunch of games. I'm buying the jersey. This is the year. They're going to break through, because this is a massive bet by this organization and this front office. They did not tear it down. They did not entertain the idea of trading Kevin Durant. They did not entertain the idea of trading Devin Booker. And if this does not work, if this flames out similarly to the way that it did last year, then those conversations are going to come back. We're going to have them here on this show. I'm going to advocate for one of those two players to be gone, if not both of them. So this is a big gamble. They changed head coaches and they said, you know what? We're going to stick with this group. We're going to get somebody that we think better aligns with what this group is able to do. We're going to go out and make a huge addition in Tyus Jones. We're going to ace the draft with the acquisition of Ryan Dunn. Not to say that Ryan Dunn's going to be a superstar, but I just think from a needs perspective, they used their limited draft capital expertly. And so credit where credit is due for that. And we sit here with another wait and see season. I wish it was different. I wish there was a better way to view it, but they're running it back with a similar group, making the necessary tweaks that needed to be made. They changed the coaching staff. They got a point guard. They added a defensive wing player that can help them shut down opposing stars in the playoffs, late in the season, in games that they have to have. They've done all that. They checked all the boxes. Will it work? That is the massive question mark that surrounds this team right now. And lucky for us, season's going to start, and we're going to get to see how it all gels in the early going. If there are going to be speed bumps, if this is going to be a rocky road, or if they're going to just hit the ground running. We will see.